What's good, y'all? Elvis here. So I created a class on setting and raising your price on my platform, College of Better Barbering. But as of right now, I'm thinking about scrapping that, maybe doing that different later, but I'm just gonna put up the courses I already created on my YouTube for free. This is just part one of 3 parts, just because each course is like an hour plus of content. You know what I'm saying? So this is part one of my class on setting and raising your price. I hope you enjoy. What's good, y'all? Elvis here. Welcome again to the College of Better Barbering. This class is all about setting and raising your price. So the barber industry is really special because barbering is an art/craft as well as a business. In my experience, people tend to lean really hard towards the art and craft aspect or lean really hard towards the business aspect. So a good portion of barbers I meet are a lot heavier on the art side, and they consider themselves tonsorial artists. And they primarily love barbering for the art of it. And it just coincidentally happens to come with a money incentive. But on the other side, there's a lot of people that are like hustlers, business people that are capitalizing on the business aspect of barbering. So they lean a lot more towards that, and they just kind of dabble with the art. They're not as concerned as identifying as an artist or identifying with the art. This is more of a money play. And I do not think that is wrong at all, because both sides are crucial. It's important to understand exactly where you stand in between those, because that's going to affect how you structure your business and how you move forward realistically. But this class is skewed a lot more towards the business aspect of barbering and scaling your business that way. But before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of this course, a thing that's really important to understand is perception of value. Because what you as a barber perceive your value to be is going to be completely different to every person that sits in your chair. A client is never going to see this service through the eyes of a barber the way you see it. They might be able to infer certain things and, empathize or sympathize with, being a barber, just because, we're all humans. And if you really have a connection with your barber, you're going to be able to see through their perspective. But the perspective of a client and the perspective of a barber are completely different. And as a barber, you need to understand how they interact with each other. So I have this thing called the resource pyramid. I use it to outline the different tiers of growing your business and utilizing your resources. At the lowest level, it's money, then time, then energy. And the way I usually explain it is, when you're first starting, you have an abundance of energy and you have abundance of time, but money is your limiting factor. And then at a certain point, you leverage your money to, let's say, buy your time back. And then time is your limiting factor. But at some point when you're progressing and growing your business and you're scaling, you're going to end up getting more money than you need. I don't know if you can ever need enough money, low key. But let's say instead of money being your most limited resource, now you have more money than time you can really spend it. So then now time is your limited resource. And at that level, it takes certain pivots and changes in your business to get to the next level where your energy is your limiting factor and you have abundant time as well as money. But the real hack to it is understanding that the whole time, your energy was really the most limiting factor that you had. Because debatably, time and money are all relative. It really depends on what you want to spend them doing. But your energy is finite. You only have a certain amount of energy. So when you get to that top level, it's all about using your energy in the way that you want to, because you only have a finite amount of it. And that's the most important underlying concept when it comes to perception of value, of course, of resources, but then also scaling your business and raising your price. As far as the perspective of value of a client, you might have heard me say this before. Clients and customers are used synonymously, but there are different categories of people. Your customers are people that want your good or service. Your clients are customers that build a relationship with you that transcends the transaction. So a customer is somebody who just gets a haircut. They might not really rock with you that much outside of just getting the haircut. A client is somebody who has a perception of value of the time and energy and also the money that you invest in your business to a higher degree than the customer. The customer just wants their haircut. That's the value that they see. Your clients want the haircut, but they also are investing in you. And I'm not even going to front. Even for me, it took me a long time to understand the subtle differences between my customers and my clients. And in every new season, I'm filtering out more customers out of what I considered to be my clients at a certain point. Like when I was in college, the people that I considered my clients were people that were getting regular haircuts and, paying my price and But as I progressed in my business and as I developed as an individual, the people that fit into my business needed to have a higher perception of my value because I was increasing my value. And if you and your clients slash customer have different perceptions of value, y'all are only gonna be doing business for a limited amount of time. When I was doing full haircuts for like $15, there's people that their perception of the value of my haircut matched the price I was charging. As I grew my value and I invested more time and energy and money into my craft, it got better. You know what I'm saying? So my perception of value, my service raised up past $15. And the people that wanted to pay the $15 price point, regardless if they were like low-key wanted to be my friend or not, they became a customer rather than a client because the new standard I set for my clients changed. And that's my next point. Setting your standard is the most important thing. And of course, people are going to assume I mean specifically price, which of course that's a factor. But I think it's a lot more important to understand how you want the clients going forward to fit into your business for real, or fit into your business as well as your lifestyle. And because we have limited resources, time, energy, and money, you have to set a standard for yourself. Because if you don't have a standard for yourself, it's very easy for people to pull you into their perception of value. I've had clients who, let's say my price went to 40 and they, bro, I don't want to pay 40 for a haircut. Can I get you 30 and blah, 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 or like, can you just look out for me this one time? Understand, there's clients that I have that I legitimately love and I rock with, and I will look out for them if they need something. But I don't really believe in discounts, because when you give discounts, it lowers the perception of value of your service to your clients and customers. I'd much rather give a free cut than a discounted cut, because let's say your price is $40 and your clients want to pay $30 because that's what they were paying before. If you let it slide, then you just kind of lower your perception of value with that person, but they might understand that technically this is a discount, but in their mind, they're just thinking, oh, this is the price I get to pay. This is the price I'll be paying. Everybody else get a different price. And of course, you can run your business however you want. And like, I can give it as many free haircuts as I want, and that's fine. But how you interact with your clients is what sets the standard going forward. Like every time you give a discount, you're setting the precedent with that specific client. And sometimes, let's say you might have a client who gets very minimal work done. So it's like, just throw me a little bit. I don't care about it. It's not much time and energy invested. But you want to be careful that that client isn't the kind of person that's when they go and tell their friends about getting the service from you, that they're like, oh, well, you know, usually charge this, but I pay this. And sometimes those kind of clients kind of just nudge your other potential clients like, hey, I mean, you can low-key talk him down off that price. And that is the worst thing you can do for your business, because you don't want to constantly be fighting the same battle for your perception of value with a client. Ideally, you want to be dealing with people that have a higher perception of value, if not at your level, because you will not have to do any negotiating. And those are the people that tip. Those are the people that do the most promoting for you. Those are the people that are the biggest assets within your business. When it comes to setting your standard, another thing that's really important, I think ultimately the most important, is understanding exactly how much hair you want to cut. Because when I first started, I wanted to cut a maximum amount of hair. I want to spend my whole day cutting. This is the only thing I really cared about for a really long time. It was a big special interest for me. When I was cutting at college at North Carolina A&T, I was staying on and off campus, and I used every free bit of time and energy I could. That wasn't going to college, that wasn't going to, like, you know, the things I need to maintain my mental health and other things. Any free time I had, man, I'm trying to get some haircuts in. But my objective with my craft at that time was to build up my skill set. It wasn't to scale as a business, because building your skill in the craft and building your business acumen, your business knowledge, are completely separate skills. You can be a very, very successful barber, not just kind of low-key bullshitting on haircuts, or just, let's say, you could literally have 2 haircuts that you do, but scale that business up to being like $100,000 a year. Realistically, if you just deal with the clients that have the same perception of value as you, say, assuming that perception of value could actually get you to $100K. There was a point in time where I wanted to spend as much time and energy as I had to, like, you know, of course, get some money. Because, you know, time and energy were my most abundant resources at that time. But now I'm in a different season where my time and my energy are so much more finite. So the time I want to dedicate to cutting hair is a lot smaller. as you go through different stages of the resource pyramid, your business ideally should be reflecting that so you can scale. I was charging like $15 or less for a very, very long time. And when I was more pressed about getting like all the haircut reps in and all that, I realistically was over leveraging my time. I was spreading myself really thin. I was happy because I was booked up and I was booming. I was booked up for like maybe 2-3 weeks ahead of time for like maybe like 2 years. I was really cutting heads, but I was over leveraging my time and I was spreading myself what I considered to be too thin and overworking myself. So once I took the time to actually understand that like cutting more hair isn't what's actually going to get me to scale my business, I had to adapt, and I put in things like after-hour policies. Because when you're too available, people prioritize you for convenience, but not your own convenience. They prioritize you for the convenience that you give them. And of course, as a barber, you want to be a certain level of convenient to your clients, but you don't want to be way more convenient for them than you are convenient for yourself. Like, your clients should fit into your business. You shouldn't necessarily bring your business to fit your clients. You get what I'm saying? Or customers, rather. Because you can't adequately scale if you don't set your standard and then move that standard where you need it to be. If your clients want a bunch of haircuts way outside of, let's say, your availability or outside of the price that you're willing to accept, you're kind of moving backwards, because at that point you're letting them dictate your business. When it comes to setting the standard, I think the most important thing outside of just, leveraging your time, energy, money, resources is polishing your product. And as a barber, your product is your haircut, the service that you're providing. To scale my business adequately, I had to become more time efficient. I couldn't spend 2+ hours on a fade and actually scale that to make money for real. Because first off, people don't want to be in the chair for like 2 hours. I mean, even if the clients really like you, they want to get a haircut within a reasonable amount of time. If they want to just kick it with you, they'll just kick it with you. But nobody wants the service to take that long. And I was self-taught for like 4 years before I actually went to barber school to get a license. And one of the things my instructor, Dr. Gene Blackman, shout out to him, like one of the cognitive reframes that he gave me that really just like leveled up how I wanted to move about my business. So some background. So I was not that coachable when I was in barber school. I've been doing haircuts 4 years. I know what I'm doing. But I was taking like about an hour on each haircut because I was just relaxed. I knew my process. I knew that it would take me this amount of time, and I was just okay with that because my clients were cool with that. And I was doing well for where I was. I was charging like $15-$20, but I was like, that's pretty chill. That's pretty chill. I'm booked up all week, all day, doing the thing that I like, and I'm getting paid. You know what I'm saying? My bills were low at work. But Dr. Blackman was really getting on me about my time. And I was like, bro, why do I have to cut faster? Nobody want me to cut faster, or nobody's telling me to cut faster. Nobody is dissatisfied with my service. And he told me, this is super simple shit. He told me, if you cut hair twice as fast, you make twice as much money. That shit got me. And even if you're a person that, let's say, has appointments blocked out like me, where it's like, I'm not taking walk-ins, so busting out, let's say, 3 heads in an hour is not what I'm planning on doing. But the more energy and time efficient you become with your service, the easier it is to scale it. Even now, my appointments are in hour slots. There was a point in time where I took them to 30 minutes and I was getting them out, you know what I'm saying? But now I realize that I want to have a more chill, relaxed environment when I'm cutting hair, and just more relaxed interaction with my clients. And I like to sit here and talk. That's the thing that I value. That's the kind of interaction I value. So now my slots are in an hour, but realistically, I can do a lot of these haircuts in like 15 minutes or less, because I grew my ability to really polish the product. And if I need bare minimum time, I can get it done in bare minimum time. But it's also a really nice haircut within that time. I didn't even realize how well I could be cutting, or how time efficient I could be cutting, until it was like maybe 4 years ago, possibly. It was GHO, A&T's homecoming. And I was booked up all week at barber school. I came home, booked up at the crib. I had a bunch of people waiting, and I had somebody who had booked a time for like the wrong day, but then came anyway. I didn't think too much of it, but I'm like, I can get him in. It was like, I had maybe like 20 minutes. I was like, bro, I'll get you in. And bro, I had never cut hair that fast in my life. And when I finished and looked at it, I realized that I had the ability to cut well in a short amount of time. I just didn't have any reason to really push my limit as far as getting my time down. A fade that usually took me an hour, I got done in 15 minutes, almost exactly. And I'm sitting there like, dang, it's always been in me, but I needed to challenge myself to be efficient in that way. And now that's really stepped up my product. The faster you can complete a haircut, the more time you have to detail, the more time you have to do other services if you want to do add-on services, the more time you have to have a meaningful interaction with your client. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that really level up the value of the haircut, because most clients don't have that much of a perception of value of a haircut.